I'm Sue and I'm the Resident Naturopath at Lifehouse Spa and Hotel, and today on my daily exercise I've decided to come out into the countryside and forage for nettles. Spring is the perfect time to come and get fresh nettles because all the fresh growth is coming to the top, and that's what you're actually going to want to pick. You want to pick the fresh tips of the nettles, a bit like how they pick green tea out in Asia. So nettles are often considered to be a weed by many, but actually to naturopaths like myself they're a very valuable herb and they can be used for all sorts of health benefits. So I'm actually going to fill up my bag a little bit more and I'm going to go home and I'm going to show you how to make nettle soup, nettle tea and nettle pesto. In the Lifehouse grounds, I love it when our chefs go out into the gardens and they forage for nettles, and they actually use nettles to make nettle gnocchi, which gives it this lovely green colour. So when you're picking your nettles, you want to make sure that you pick them away from the main sort of road really, and that's to avoid pollution and also dogs as well, for obvious reasons. So, you know, I'm very lucky, I'm right out in the middle of nowhere here, but I still have to be careful of dogs because people do walk their dogs around here. So I'm going to carry on picking my nettles till I get a few more, and I'm going to go home and show you how to make a few recipes. So I'll see you back home. Hello everyone, I'm Sue and I'm going to show you how to make organic nettle pesto. So I went foraging earlier to get some nettles, and because they're out in the countryside they're going to be organic, which is always a good thing. There's many benefits, health benefits to nettles. They're a great tonic. If ever you feel like you need a tonic, have some nettles. Full of calcium, iron, silica, it's good for the hair. In fact, some people use nettles as a hair wash, and gardeners vouch by, you know, soaking nettles in water and feeding their plants with nettles. So lots of lovely benefits for nettles, and wherever you have a recipe for spinach, nettle makes a great replacement. So I'm going to make this nettle pesto vegan, so I'm not including any cheese, and actually I don't have any pine nuts, so I'm actually using cashew nuts. So, you know, you can use anything you want really, and particularly in times like this we need to be innovative. And so I've got some nettles here. There's actually 50 grams of nettles, so they looked like this when I started, and I actually took the stalks off because we don't really want stalks in our pesto. So I've blanched them, and when you blanch nettles it takes the sting away. And so I quickly put them in some hot water, and then I quickly put them in some cold water, and that's what blanching is, and that maintains its green colour. And so I'm going to put those into my blender. So I've got a very high powered 2 horsepower motor blender, which does make life a lot easier. I'm going to add in it's about 50 grams of cashew nuts actually. They're organic as it happens, I happen to have them in the cupboard. So I'm basically chucking everything in. So in they go. Because this is vegan, I'm going to use some nutritional flakes, so they give a cheesy flavour, and there's a little bit of B12 vitamin in there as well. I've done about 2 tablespoons in there, so popping those in. Garlic, you can add your garlic to taste. I like quite a bit of garlic, so they're raw cloves, so in they go. I've got a zest of a lemon here. Yes, again it is organic, because if you're using the pith and the skin of lemon, you don't want pesticides in it, so it's important that that is organic. If you're just juicing a lemon, you don't really need it to be organic, but because we're using the zest, we need it to be organic. And some nutmeg, so a good old grinding of nutmegs going in there as well. So that's that. There's lots of different ways of doing this. Some people will actually blend this first and then pour in the olive oil. I've got 150 mils of organic extra virgin olive oil, but I'm actually going to chuck it all in. So in it all goes, and good old grinding of salt. So some good seasoning. There we go. You can always adjust it afterwards. And it's going to get a little bit noisy. I'll get the lid on. There we go. Alright, and let's give this a whirl. So it's going to whistle while this goes on. We don't want it too smooth. It's nice to have a bit of texture. Here we go. And here is the resultant pesto, which is a nice green colour. Quite a good amount here. So I'll carry on scraping that out later. But there you have, you can see it's got some quite good texture there, and you might want to put a little bit more olive oil over it if you wanted to. A bit of drizzle of olive oil, that looks really lovely. And then obviously you're going to taste it and check that the seasoning's okay. But that's going to be brilliant if you're going to make like a courgette spaghetti. You can heat up the noodles and then quickly put that through, or pasta of course, or you can spread it on a cracker, use it as a dip. So there we have it, organic nettle pesto. And the next recipe that I'm going to show you is nettle soup. And nettle soup is very nourishing, it's very good for you, it's good for the immune system, it's a diuretic, helps the kidneys and the liver, it's got lots of minerals and vitamins in, so it really is a great tonic. So what I'm doing right now is sweating off one potato, quite a large one, one leek, one onion, one shallot, 2 or 3 cloves of garlic in a little bit of olive oil. And this has actually been sweating away for about 20 minutes because I actually need the potato to soften. So now that the potato's softened, I've now got to the stage where I need to add in my hot stock. So this is actually bone broth that I made with a chicken carcass from a Sunday roast, and that's just been simmering away. And so I'm just going to add that to my vegetable mixture. And here I've actually got 100 grams of nettles, and I haven't actually bothered to take off the stems because it's going to get blended, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. So I'm actually going to bring that up to the boil and add in my nettles, and what you're really needing to do is just get them to wilt. You don't really need to cook them because you want to maintain all the nutrition, and also you want to maintain the lovely green colour, so we don't actually need to cook this for too long. A bit like spinach, you literally wilt it. So I'm just going to let that cook along for a little bit, and then I'm going to be blending it very soon. So I'm going to give that a little bit longer, and it's all starting to wilt really nicely. Mixing along with the veg and everything. It's bubbling away quite ferociously. So I'm now going to turn that off, and I'm going to bring it over and blend it. But it's quite important, you have to be careful. Normally I wouldn't actually, I'd actually let this cool down before I normally blend it, because when something's hot it expands in the blender, and you can have a situation where it can sort of start to shoot out the top. So I'm just going to put a little bit in, a bit of the liquid. I'm not going to put all of it in. I'm going to blend it and see how it comes out. So I've got a very powerful blender, it's a 2 horsepower motor, so the fact that I've got stalks and bits and pieces in there, it deals with it really well. So it's going to be a bit of a noise for a little bit of a while. bear with me. It will be still quite hot, so be careful. Right, here we go. We've got a steaming nettle soup, which is looking pretty good. And I was going to finish it off with some old-fashioned 70s, it's actually vegan cream. A little bit of parsley and a little splash of extra virgin olive oil, and there you have it. That is nettle soup. I'm now on my third recipe from my haul of stinging nettles. And what I decided to do on my final recipe is make some tea. And nettle tea is a real tonic, it's very good for the kidneys, it's full of vitamins and minerals, it's got lots of iron and silica in it. So yeah, if you're looking for a tonic, as I said earlier, it's brilliant. So what I actually did, I actually dried some nettles overnight. And this is the result of them. I mean, now that they're dry, they're not stinging me anymore. So I put them in the oven at 80 degrees, so it's a very low heat, and you can see that this tray's got holes in it so the air can circulate. And when I came down this morning, I actually turned off the oven and just let them dry overnight. They're lovely and crispy, which is just what you want, so you can make a tea out of them. And this is the resultant tea that I've made, and I've made it in my trusty blender. I just literally chucked them in, and it just blended it all up. So that's pretty good tea consistency. So I'll now put that in a plastic bag, and I've got nettle tea. But you can see you probably need quite a few nettles. This is just a little small yield, but I just had that covered. So if you wanted to make lots of nettle tea, you'd need to do it a few times. So dried nettle tea is great. So you know that'll keep indefinitely, pretty much. And while I've been talking to you, steeping here in my teapot is actually fresh nettle, and I've actually put 50% fresh mint from the garden as well, because nettle can taste a bit weedy on its own. So a lot of commercial companies, you'll notice, they'll have nettle and mint, or they'll have something else with it. And so this has been steeping for about 10 minutes. I let the kettle boil, and then I just let it calm down a bit before I put it actually into the pot. And should have a nice green liquid now. Yeah, that's lovely. Little mint leaves pop through there, and so you can see that is lovely green colour. And yeah, to your good health.